Well, thank you all for being here today. With MIMEC, we're really happy to have organized this speed meeting for you guys to talk, get to know each other, discuss different things about the edtech market in Mexico and especially in Monterrey. It's just a couple things about how things are going to work today. If possible, we would love for everyone to turn off their microphones while they're not speaking, just because that creates a little background noise for everyone, and we know how annoying that is. And the second thing, if you wish to speak, feel free to raise your hand. To do that, you have the reaction section. You can just click on the little hand, and once you're done asking your question, you can just click again and it'll disappear. Like you saw in the email I sent yesterday, we have 20 minutes per topic and we have 4 topics. I'm going to try as much as possible to stay within those 20 minutes, but if a subject is particularly passionating, we're going to stay with it. And yeah, so for the first 15 minutes, I'm going to let the MIMEC team present themselves first. I'm going to present myself as well at one point during this introduction. And yeah, we have 15 minutes to present each other. Just real quick, if you can say who you are and maybe like 5 words about what your company does, because normally there was a presentation that everyone read. So we should all know more or less who we're talking with. So welcome everyone. I'm Valentina Redondo from Business France. I represent also Edtech France and the AFINEF. And I'm super excited to be here today and see what you all have to say about these amazing topics that you've defined. So, Aralia, the floor is yours if you wish to say a few introduction words.
Yeah, of course. Nice to meet you. I'm Aralia Bernal. I'm public relationship of MIMEC. I'm and Maggie. We are representing and Gabriel of the team of MIMEC, and we are really excited for this meeting.
Perfect.
Mm.
So yeah, the first topic that you all said that you wanted to talk about was a bit general, but you all wanted to talk about the digital transformation that you've seen in the market this last few months, business strategy, digital marketing, and just a general panorama of, let's see, insights and trends that you've seen in the market. I don't know if anyone has any like success story that they'd like to say, or whoever feels interested or motivated enough to start, go ahead. You guys have to talk though. That's the objective. Mayela.
Hello, my name is Mayela Torres. I'm the coordinator of design and communication at MIMEC, and we have really successful stories here. Most of our associates work in the digital transformation. They work with technology related to VR, AR, and one of our members, I can see him from here, can really share some of his story or his travesty along this talking about VR. Carlos Diosdado, could you share a bit with us?
Yes, of course. Good morning, everyone. I'm Carlos Diosdado. I'm founder and director of Hyperteclatics VR Studio. And yeah, talking about the media ecosystem and our experience, it's been complex, to say the least. Mexico is, in some regards, complicated to have a technology business, especially like cutting edge technology. So we've had a lot of there's a lot of interest in this sector, like this whole XR, VR, AR, interactive media, digital transformation process is very interesting to a lot of people, a lot of companies, but sometimes they don't know how to start. They don't know what it entails. They don't know how much it costs, and we as developers are also learning new technologies all the time, so it's also extremely challenging for us. So I think it's been an interesting path. It's been complex, being able to secure more ambitious projects. We're usually starting off in little pilot projects that hopefully eventually will grow into more ambitious projects. But I think it's been interesting to be part of the MIMEC cluster because that has actually helped us to gain better relationships, learn more better practices, and have a closer relationship with other organizations like yours.
Carlos, I have a question. I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. That was wrong on my side. But I have a question. I find it curious that you say that it's hard to have a cutting edge tech company in Mexico. Why do you find that?
I think it's a bit of two factors. I think we are too used to importing all technology. So we don't produce technology locally in some respects. In some other respects we do, but not in computer technology. There is a growing IT sector, but still, when it comes to interactive media, there's still this cultural perception that you're talking about video games, which, I mean, video games are fine, but they don't take this seriously. And I feel that is a major barrier in gaining funding and cultural acceptance among customers.
Okay, that's really interesting. And on the French side, does anyone feel the same way? Is it hard to have a cutting edge tech company in France or in Europe? It'd be great if someone from the, yes, Séverine.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Well, we're talking about new technology and VR, and actually we're dedicated to the VR. We are a publisher of a VR software solution to ease the production for VR digital content. So we have long story in digital learning, and really the VR section is increasing for the last, let's say, 5 years. And it helps companies to create their own content with this kind of software to share. I mean, it's a web techno solution. It's I think it's pretty easy. It was difficult back a few years ago, but now we found there is new technology to help people to create their own content in immersive learning.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
And just to complete what Severin just said, our customers were really like scared 6-7 years ago, and right now they're ready. I mean, that's part of their everyday lives. Like they're more I don't know, they're more exposed to all this technology, and so they're more open also to have virtual reality for training or for other purposes than entertainment. So it's they're willing to have it and to try it and to do it. Yeah.
Okay, even in I'm sorry, Carlos, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick comment. Yeah, I think we as Mexico, we're kind of lagging behind in a couple of years. So I think there's adoption beginning to happen, but not at the same speed that other places. And one of these reasons, which I forgot to mention, is sometimes it's the device cost, especially when it comes to VR and AR. Other just computer-based technologies are not such a problem, but in terms of all this technology that gets imported, it's usually a barrier to a lot of people. So that factor has been in the equation for the adoption process.
Okay, that's really interesting. Would you say that well, we are going to the last topic right away, but I was wondering, like, how do you see the adoption of new technologies in Mexico compared to Europe? Because well, in a past professional life, I used to work with VR and AR, and I was always pretty frustrated to see all these amazing solutions and all these amazing products that were not reaching, let's say, their target audience or the volume that they were going for. How do you feel about that in Mexico? Is that the same? Do you feel like people are more open to this type of solution, or on the contrary, they're not at all? What do you think on that?
I think
Yes.
it's complicated. I think people are open to it, but I think the costs or the lack of knowledge is sometimes too large a barrier. But it's something we've been working like hard for years to try to overcome. Like in general, the interactive media industry as a whole, I would say, is behind in Mexico in comparison to other places such as France. Like I know in France there's a huge video game industry, and there's like all this cinema production. And Mexico, we do have a little bit of those things, some more than others, but I feel we are lagging behind, and it's been a lot of work for the MIMEC team to try and break through and make these things
And yes, based on what Carlos said, I think the lack of knowledge is I think that will be the key issue we might have. But in the other hand, we get to be like pioneers. So a lot of work from the provider side is to share with your customers and make them understand how those things work. Because, for example, it's very common that a customer arrives with you and say, "Oh, I want an AR app." So you have to ask him, why do you want it? Because your competitor has it, or who is the people who are going to use it? Or do you understand? Sometimes they say, "I want an AR app," and they are talking about VR and using the glasses and everything. So there is a lot of work that you gotta do. But once you are able to speak up and explain, and you get to build that trust and tell them sometimes you don't need that. Maybe you got to start with a website, or maybe you are in diapers in this part, so let's build an innovation path for your company, and from there we will be growing. About the thing that you were talking about, how difficult it is, or how is the digital transformation in Mexico, I have to say that I started being an entrepreneur by myself around 3 years ago. So it was before pandemics, like maybe 8 months before pandemics. And then pandemics arrived, and I was like, how in the hell am I going to make it to survive? You know? So I was like, because I spent 8 months trying to communicate to the customers, like, why it is important to be present on social media? How do you build a digital communication strategy? Why VR or AR is important? So they would say, like, no, we don't care about it. So then pandemics happened, and suddenly everyone needs digital communications. Everybody needs a strategy. So there was like a shift, and then the work started arriving, because for people, they were more interested on doing things. I'm gonna put an example of a company. I worked for my first customer, big real customer, was an import-export company. They are located in the border of U.S. Mexico, and the owners there arrive about 60 to 70 years old, and they have like the newborn, the new generation of the sons that are handling the company. So it was very impressive to sit down and talk to them and explain how does social media works. Why do you need a website that gets traffic? Why can you use VR, or how can you use AR to impulse your business? Because they realize they cannot do the old way of doing business, like knocking doors and get to meet in person. So that was their business model, you know. So we have been working with them for 2.5 years, and we have gone from having just built a website for them to have social media communication, social selling strategies, innovation. And every year is like something else. Now we're starting to exploring the part of VR and AR for the company. So, but they have been growing. So you gotta be a person that walks with them through the innovation path that you can build. That's what I will say.
Okay, that's a really good, I think that's a really good insight. And it's true that educating customers is part of prospecting and getting to know them. So for sure, I think someone else had a question. I'm not sure if it was David or Danielle, but they no longer have their hand raised. Why?
Because she said everything I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to talk about educating customer also. And I guess I can add a little bit to what she said. I work in audiovisual content, and also start before pandemic. I was creating content for YouTube for my clients. So in pandemics, I can go to film my clients. Everything changed, and I learned to work in streaming, and that become my main money entrance, because everything changed, as Jess explained. Really, she said everything I was going to say about that point. But the thing that I think is important is kind of a mix, because I have to teach the client what does streaming means, what my part was in streaming, not she she or them or whoever was my client can stream by themselves. The thing I was selling them was how the streaming looks, or the experience of the streaming could be with my help. And I have to teach them how important was that to separate them from other clients or other people that was making the streaming, or anything that seems like a streaming. So that I guess that's the thing I want
Yeah.
to add. Thank you.
No, it's really interesting, and I'd like to turn that question around to my French companies and see if they have anything to say about how it is educating clients in Europe. Is it a common thing to do? How do you feel about that? And also, I think it's a perfect transition to our second topic about, and we're right on time, and I love that. Yeah, our second topic about the trends with the pandemic. Have you seen them evolve and everything? And I for instance, from my point of view, I've seen a newborn interest in edtech and new technologies, for instance. So is that the same for you guys? How do you feel on both sides of the planet? There's a like. So what trends have you seen, Elena? Have you seen like maybe customers that before were not so interested are now calling you 10 times a day? What is it?
Uh, Actually, I have seen from the very beginning of the pandemic that people were open to virtual classrooms. So that was something that we already did before the pandemics, and our customers naturally turned to us so that we could continue providing our training and workshops on virtual classrooms. So that was very cool to have the support, the immediate trust and support of our customers. And yeah, there was a big demand on this. And we also had a lot of demands for our train the trainer workshops. But this time was the digital trainer workshop, so that people could facilitate virtual classrooms by themselves. And for example, like team classrooms or everything that they have done before that was face-to-face training, how to transform this into virtual classrooms, that it was not doing the same thing that you would do having everyone in the same room, but having to requesting more participation and asking people in the chat and having more exercises that are different, and yeah, having a different dynamics that we have when we are face to face and around the same table. So yeah, we had a lot of demand on that when the pandemic started. And that was a good thing, because some people would just transpose online what they would do already in face to face, and that was very hard for attendees and for participants to follow, and to not be able to participate or to stay. We have also heard the term Zoom fatigue, which is like people were exhausted having this 20 pair of eyes, this wall of people watching you the whole time, while when you're in a meeting you can just slide discreetly to a side or go have a glass of water. And here, if I take my mug, everyone's watching me having a sip of my drink. So yeah, So I'm going somewhere else. Okay, so I think that people were more open to virtual classrooms and to changing things the way we do things online.
I think you've put the finger on something really important, which is I think maybe it's a personal opinion and you're all free to disagree with me, but I think that the virtual solutions that have worked the best are not those who are copying reality, but those who are improving what you could have in reality. And I think that's the real distinction between the companies that are just recreating a classroom online, which, yeah, Zoom fatigue, it makes no sense. It doesn't bring anything to the table. And those who are trying to do something innovative and creating new interactions online that are more appropriate to the media. Alban, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to share my feedback. So I work at WooClap, which is an online platform of interactive questions for the teachers to insert into their presentations. And that was funny because it was developed before the pandemic. And so we did have some teachers using the platform, but because of COVID, it just exploded, and the teachers were using it then for distance classroom. And so we went from actually 200,000 teachers using the platform in February 2020. And then now we have more than 1 million. So like in 2 years, it really went really fast. But then after the pandemic and still now, then we heard too the Zoom fatigue, the digital fatigue and everything. So we actually had to educate again our users and the prospects that we had, just to tell them that the platform was first developed in class and that they could still use it in a different way, and that it was not then, it was useful still for in class and not just remote teaching. So yeah, we really had to explain them this and actually change the communications around the product and develop some guides and some techniques to explain how it would work. So that was the trends that we actually faced.
Okay, that's super interesting. And it's funny to see how we had to go from convincing teachers to adopt new technologies to now letting them know, remember, in person was also good. So it's funny how the hybrid model really became the new normal. And with that, I was wondering if anything. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Carlos. Yeah, please go ahead. I'm not gonna do my transition then.
Yeah, in regards to this COVID challenges and opportunities, there's definitely been a considerable increase in interest. I think there is also a complicated part with this Zoom fatigue thing. Like there is a scramble for solutions, and many were not good solutions. And so now there's this situation where you have on one side, there's more customers aware of their need of digital transformation and of the technological possibilities we have. But on the other hand, you have a lot of people that are frustrated with the tools that they used. So, and there's like this, how do you convince someone that has become frustrated with digital tools that you can provide, that your digital tools can provide value that cannot be obtained in a classroom? Like you're not trying to replace the classroom, you're trying to augment the classroom, or you're trying to provide something that cannot be provided by a physical classroom. And that like that navigating like that complicated mindset of people, I think it's kind of challenging. And sometimes in institutional settings, like we've been approached by educational institutions, and they're all like, we want to do VR, but we have like no idea how, and we don't know. Some people are not sure there's actually an advantage, and it's just like a waste of money. So I think this aspect of how do you convince educational institutions to adopt technologies is like the big question for me.
I think that's a question we're all asking ourselves. I don't know who came first, Sabrine or Alban. Whoever wants to go first, go for it.
Alban, go first.
Go for it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think, well, honestly, for us, it was basically the community and all of the great teachers and ambassadors that we had. So, like, even in smallest countries like Spain and Italy, we started to have some big names using WooClap. And so then we had some great cases with the teachers. So the main thing was about animating this community and having some cases of those teachers that we could publish on the blog or do a webinar or just send to other schools and other learning technologists. And then it really convinced them that, oh, okay, that's how they use it concretely in class from an economic teacher or math or another topic. And so they really felt concerned when, of course, it's like the client speaking about the product, but we're helping the client speaking about WooClap. And so that's how it worked for us.
Okay, that's a really interesting feedback. Séverine, would you like to add something?
Yeah, and for us, it was more dedicated to the higher education and the workforce training, actually. And people wanted to train the students closer to the real environment. So VR or 360, I mean, immersive learning, help the student to dive into the real environment in 360 pictures or videos. And then you can really build a strong scenario through this VR approach. And using, I mean, with the software that we created, it helped the teachers to create their own content. Just having a 360 camera, and you were talking about the cost, Carlos, and now, I mean, cost getting lower. I would say that to buy a 360 camera, it's roughly like 400 euros. And if you have a pack of like, to start with the 2,000 euro, you can really create as many content as you want and share it with anyone, because there is no limit of sharing. And I think this is a good option for the teacher to, we have a solution with the university in Lyon. We're based in France, in Lyon. And they have to teach the student to behave and to respect the safety rules into a laboratory. And instead of repeating each time the safety rules, I mean, using the 360 or the VR, it helped the students to get into the lab and to move and to do things in the respect of this safety solution. I don't know if that answers a bit of your questions.
That's really optimistic. You're the first person that I've talked to that said to me, the cost of VR and AR are going down. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that, because I'm a
Even
big
the
fan.
VR headset, yeah.
Yeah, even VR headsets. That's true. That's true. So yeah, it is good news for the market, I must say. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add in terms of trends or insights that you've seen through the pandemic, after the pandemic. I think, yeah, for sure, the reason that we're all here talking today was because of the pandemic. So we cannot say that it's been without impact for the market. Danielle.
Thanks. It's more like a question because there was two participation that talk about schools or working for schools. So I want to know how the industry is in that regard. Schools, is that the biggest part of the industry there? They are investing more in that kind of technology, or it's just a coincidence? Because here we do well. In my experience, schools, universities in particular, they expand, but in the streaming part. So I want to ask about that.
Who wants to answer, Danielle? Well, I'm going to try to start answering, and then if someone wants to help me along, that'd be great. So today you're talking to 9 French companies that are developing interactive solutions for either schools, universities, or professional training. So you're going to hear a lot of people talking about teachers, etc. Their solutions are really targeted towards education. And that's why we decided to make this matchmaking today, because you're all more in the interactive media market in a general broad way. And today you're going to be talking to interactive media experts, but dedicated to education. So that's why they're talking to about teachers. I don't know if anyone else wants to complete what I just said. Alban, maybe.
Yeah, no, just, regarding WooClap, honestly, it's a platform that adapts to anyone. So we do have some pro trainers buying some licenses, or even some companies for their meetings, but it's just a totally different approach. So we focus the business on higher education regarding the teams that are working at WooClap, but it's like for everyone, but for the moment, that's the focus that we have.
I love it. There are so many hands raised. I think Jessica was the first, so I'm gonna go for Jessica. Oh, your microphone is off. That's my bad as well. I asked you to do that.
Sorry. I don't know if someone else wants, because I wasn't talking about something that regards to the question, to this specific topic.
Then
if
we'll
someone wants
circle
to
back
continue,
to you.
yeah.
Séverine, maybe.
Yeah, just to answer Daniel, I mean, I was telling you about the higher education and workforce training, but of course we work with industry, and VR is corresponding. I mean, the first customers we had was in the industry, because they needed, again, to train closer to the real environment. So they needed to train their employees and the people on could be on the maintenance of the machine. I mean, there is many different subjects and topics to address with VR and 360 and with immersive learning. It can be, again, with health safety rules. It can be on the maintenance, how to know better a machine. I mean, I have tons of of nice stories to tell you, but I don't want to keep the mic for an hour. So it was just to say that education, that is one part, and industry is another part, but we address both, really. And the VR is a great solution.
Carlos, do you want to answer to that?
I wanted to kind of ask or add to this topic about what are the differences in the pain points for the customers when they're large educational institutions versus small educational institutions, because at least in Mexico, the educational landscape is complex. There's a lot of like public education that is they don't have much budget, and sometimes their mindset is a bit limited. And there's a lot of like large but very expensive private universities who are interested in investing in technology, but they have their other complexities. So I would like to learn more about how this landscape and the complexities of small versus large organizations in France.
And that's our third topic. Here we go. Thank you so much for the transition, Carlos. You want my job? Perfect. So yeah, if you can all maybe tell a little bit of your experience in the interactive and multimedia industry, in a broad sense, in Mexico versus France, that'd be great. It's true that I'm going to complete what Carlos said with not only the educational system in Mexico is really complex. You've got many different actors. It also works per state. So it's not even the same as in France, where you have one ministry and everything comes down from there. No, here you've got one ministry, and then each state does whatever they want, and they have their own budget. Depending on each state, you can have one state next to the other and have completely different budgets. So that makes it interesting, diverse, but also really complex. So I don't know if anyone wants to talk about the French side. Séverine, again, please go ahead.
Well, the education is not that easy either in France, I would say. I mean, Alban, maybe you can support me on that, but I think it's we have the Ministry of Education, that's for sure. We have a private school, a private university, and it's really complicated. You have to reach the top level to go down and to hit the university and the school, but you also have to get your champions at the university and your and the higher education to be convinced by the product and to be convinced by the immersive learning, by the digital learning, because if there is no one who wants to create content, there will be no content. So you have to get someone inside the education to will to create this content and to understand the plus of what will bring this this immersive learning. And it's it's not so easy. And for us, I mean, for SpeedNet, we more dedicate to higher education. It's not only private school. We do have private school and we do have a university, but it's mainly talking about immersive. It's really to show how to. It's more technical than soft skills. It's more on art skills to show things with the VR and the immersive. I don't know if that answers a little bit of your questions again. Yeah.
It does. Denise, I was wondering if you wanted to develop on what you just said in the chat, that there is a difference between the private and the public. Would you like to say something else?
Well, just a remark. I think in the public, in the private school or high school, the reactivity is very, very efficient than in a public school or university. My experience show that in my old activity, in my experience, we can try not all, but different tools for numeric studies, WooClap, Moodle, Teams, Zoom. But my colleague in university, it's different. They must ask from their hierarchy, test the product, validate the product, all this action necessitate every lot of time, and it's not a good thing for the student. I think it's my experience. My English is not very good. I'm looking for my word.
No, but I think we got what you meant. You meant that the decision making process is way too long in the public sector. Yes. And I think we can use that for Mexico, France, China, wherever. It's just, it's really, really long. And you do have to, I loved what Severine said, that you have to stop from the top and go down from there. That's really true in Mexico as well. Lovely, tons of hands. I'm gonna go with Elena. I think Elena had been waiting for a while. Your microphone.
Yeah.
Is
it working now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted just to complete what Severine said and to answer Carlos' question regarding how to get to schools. And there are also some events that are organized where you're going to have, for example, Educatec, Educatis, which are events where you can have those people in schools and education that are eager to know technologies, to have some innovation and to see what's new out there. And also, on the other hand, you're going to have the people that are exposing, like us or other companies like us. And then that's how innovation meet the schools also on our side. You get to see some demonstrations, you get to show things, you get people to try things and to discuss about their problems. And so you can propose some solution or guide them to go see your neighbor that is just in front, or so it's there are some spaces where these two worlds can meet and that are organized so that people who are eager or are drawn to technology, innovation, or to try something else, they can find what they're looking for.
Awesome. Severine, do you want to answer that, or Carlos?
I was just adding the two fairs. I mean, Elena was talking about Educatec, Educatis in Paris, which is a show, and there was recently another one in London called Bet Show. We're exhibiting, like, it was, I think it was end of March. And really it's where people can meet and can find new innovative solution and test it. And they have, they can meet success story and be convinced by the product to use it in their school.
I'm adding another event to the chat called the Edtech Evolving Education, which will take place in Puebla if I'm correct, on the 8th or 7th of July. Yes, 7th, 8th, and 9th of July. So yeah, Puebla is 2 hours away by car from Mexico City. So if anyone's interested, I'll be over there, and I'd love to meet you guys as well. So yeah, no, it's true that events are a great way to make the worlds meet, and I'm extremely happy to see that in-person events are back. I especially miss them. That's also part of my ancient professional life. So it's really nice to see that those spaces are coming back, because even though we hear this a lot, virtual will never replace real. It can augment it, but it will not replace it. So Carlos, Severin, who wants to continue?
But just saying that I agree to. I was happy to be back on the BET show and to meet people and to have some questions from teachers, and they're really willing to create new things. And they've been through the pandemic and they had to react quite emergency, I would say. And Alban and Elena was telling you about this this timing of the pandemic. It was complicated, but now I think there have been more. They are concerned, and they really, I think they are convinced of this new technology solution, and yeah, how do you say, the good thing that brings to the students through to the students, or again in the industry to the employees, what bring this training, so the digital training solution, what helps the digital training solution for the people. So again, we agree.
I think we can move on to our fourth and last topic, which is about virtual reality. Everyone was questioning about measuring learning effectiveness, adoption barriers for EdTech, both in Mexico and France, which I think are pretty different. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about the pain points for institutional customers. Who wants to say something? Severine, please go
Again,
ahead.
it's me. I'm going to take the mic for the next hour. Come on, guys, talk.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We love it.
No, I mean, you're talking about our topics. I mean, virtual reality, and really it's learning by doing again. I mean, it's really, you get the retention of information because you are practice what you will. I mean, learning by doing helps people to to integrate the teaching and to know how to. I mean, the training is more efficient than having an e-learning or a PowerPoint or a face-to-face. It's really, you can practice and you can also evaluate. So you, from in VR, you can really go for training, for exercise and evaluation. So you have really the three these three environments that you can go for the training. So I would say that it helps again.
And what would you say are the adoption barriers for institutional customers? Because I mean, we've mentioned it's the cost, we've mentioned the adoption, how maybe some generations are not as open to new technologies as others. So what can you say about French institutional entities? Are they pro VR? What have you dealt with?
I wouldn't say, I mean, we had to explain what helped the VR to the teacher. So it took some time to educate the people for the good things of the VR, and now they are convinced. And it's not only talking about VR, because many universities are building a VR lab. That means that they have a room dedicated to VR, because you need to help people again for VR. You just don't send a content and say, okay, go ahead, use your VR headset. I mean, you have to help the students to go through VR and to immerse the students to be in the VR. But you also have when we talk about VR, we talk about immersive, and for me, immersive, it's talking about 360. And 360, it can be in a smartphone, can be in tablets, and can be on a laptop. So it's not only VR headset. VR headset, it's a bit scary because you need to buy the VR headset. You need to have someone, a trainer, to be next to the student to say, okay, you have to put the VR like this and be careful, don't hit the wall and, and the table and on the neighborhood. So you really need to think first, what is the objectives? I mean, these pedagogical objectives of the content you want to create. Maybe a 360 will do the work. Maybe the VR will do better, but it's really helping and advising the teachers on that side. So I think it's really, there is a lot of support and advices for the beginning, and then go to the production of the content.
Okay, we've got two other hands. We've got Jessica and Anne. Anne, we haven't heard from you, so I'm going to give you the floor.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Anne. I work at English. We're an online training company. So we sell e-learning solutions for universities, schools, and companies. And I just wanted to say that we have seen, of course, obviously, a rise in the interest for e-learning solutions in all sectors, for universities, companies, schools during the pandemic, but also maybe apart from the costs and the fact that we need to adopt new solutions and new technologies. I think that one of the maybe difficulties that we are facing is that living with those solutions for a few months, nearly a year and a half, it depends on whether they had it at the beginning of the pandemic or afterwards. But I think that people also want to go back to normal life, and that's what we've been told quite a lot. And also disconnect from the screens, go back to the classical teaching, to being able to meet people again, just like what we said for them, for meeting people and just exchanging together. So that is something that we need to work on, being able maybe to find solutions to combine real life with the new technologies that we can use, that are really tools that can be really helpful, but maybe find the good balance between all the tools that we have.
Yeah, that's really interesting what you're saying, because it's true that I've met a few actors who are eager to go back to normal life, the way you're phrasing it. But I've also met a lot of people who, I want to say, despite whatever they want, the hybrid model is imposing, and they either hop on the bus or they're not on the market anymore.
It is true.
And that's the thing. I think, well, this is something I've realized in Mexico, and again, if you disagree with me, please let me know. But I feel that there are many universities who are adopting the hybrid model, and they've realized that they can reach to many people through it, more than they could before, and that's a real advantage for them. So yeah, I think they've seen the potential of educating rural areas and reaching people whom otherwise would have never been able to come to class. So I don't know if anyone has anything to say about that. In any case, we're going to move to Jessica and then Séverine.
Thank you. Yes, I think Anne said a very important word, that it's balance. When we build any solution for any customer, is like in the Magic, we work a lot with these three axes, that is like business, technology, and design. There's gotta be like a balance in the three things, because you can have an amazing tool, but if it doesn't fit with the business goals, or if it is not well designed and customer centered, you're gonna be in trouble. So for that part, I think it is very important that when we're building a tool, we need to provide, for example, regarding business and in virtual reality, on any immersive experiences for customers, it's tough for them to separate the immersive experiences from the part of video games or the play and fun. They think just it's a video game or it's something to play with. When we provide analytics, or when we implement artificial intelligence and things like that, we are able to give an added value over the platforms. And I think that makes a huge difference. And the part when we provide analytics and we give numbers and we provide something that they can measure through our tools, I think that's something that is like a game changer in one side. And in the other side, one of the things that I think is very important from the things that we built in general from all the crowd is the part of being able to work remotely and be able to expand in an easier way. You know, we can escalate projects in a more simple, faster, and easier way. So when we are able to communicate that kind of things with our customers, I think that we can start doing like a change on the mindset, and they will be more open to us to receive our information and our products.
Awesome. Carlos, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I agree entirely with what Jessica said. And I wanted to, she brought up the topic which I was going to bring up, which is, we talked a little bit about measuring and learning effectiveness, which the training, evaluation, exercise. And there's this topic of artificial intelligence and how you leverage it for two parts. For the analytics, how do you create more relevant information for the customer? And the other, perhaps for me, more interesting part, which is how do you create the adaptive content? Are your companies creating content that adapts to the user? Because this is perhaps, I have also been a teacher at some point in my life, and you realize different people learn in different ways, and they are learning at different speeds, and they have different like knowledge backgrounds. So the possibility of having an AI system that can sort of gauge how you're advancing and somehow adapt the content to you, that would be like the holy grail of technology in education, I think. Like if it could really become personalized somehow automatically. So I don't know if you guys are working on that, and what do you have to say about that?
Does anyone want to directly answer that? I don't think we have companies that develop solutions like that today, but I do have a couple. Oh, we do? Oh, here we are.
We do. I mean, at Gymglish, we develop solutions that are personalized. We have an artificial intelligence system that helps us to provide language courses that are adapted not only to the level of the learner, but also to the pace at which they learn. So I think this is, as Carlos said, really important today, because this way we also can reach very good levels of language, very high levels, and also lower levels, and people who would maybe be lost in a more academic system. So that's really what we work on.
Thank you. I think Elena raised her hand first. Your microphone, sorry.
Yeah. I clicked. Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What I wanted to say is to add something to what we were saying about virtual reality and evaluation. Is that while you're living your VR experience, I mean, like you're with your headset and you're making choices or you're doing some things, the evaluation is the experience itself. It means that if I don't make the right decisions, then I'm going to have the consequences of my poor choices. And then I can do that experience without having the real consequences of making poor choices. And that way we learn way better than if we had a quiz or a multiple choice question or whatsoever. If I don't take the right, I don't know how you call it, the thing to put the fire out. I forgot it. L'extincteur.
Yeah.
El extinguidor, el extincteur. Okay, so everybody understand what I'm talking about.
The fire extinguisher.
Fire
I don't know why
extinguisher.
we were.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if I don't take the right one, I might mess up my material, my computer material. If I take the one that's made for paper, I don't know. So that way I can see the consequences of my choices and learn that I should take the one that looks like something else. Yeah. So that was just my 2 cents about evaluation in VR.
Okay, just that I'm seeing in the chat that they're asking what's the name of your company and everything. Normally in the presentation that I've sent you, you have everyone's email and their company and a little description. So if you talk to someone today and you don't remember exactly who they are, go back to the presentation and feel free to contact them afterwards. Carlos, I think you came first. What do you want to say?
Yes, I agree with what Elena was saying about this. The measurement is part of the experience, but institutionally, how do you, like, the problem is the education department. The education department has certain standards of what it considers real education. And so I think this is one of the big barriers in how, if I have this like changing system that is different for every student, and how do you have like a final test at the end? Do you have like a traditional, once you finish, like my software can give me all these metrics, but the government doesn't care about these metrics. So at the end, do you have like a normal test? And how do you validate with formal educational processes the success of the technology solution?
That's an interesting question. Who wants to answer that one?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
My answer? Okay. I was not the next one on the QE, so if someone else wants to go ahead, I don't want to get in the line. But I do have an answer for that one, for a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there's this SCORM standard. I don't know if everyone's familiarized with it. Basically, is a standard that works for learning management systems, and the learning management systems are these platforms where we can put some learning modules, and the people can go follow these modules, and then this is going to save some data that will be useful to know if the person knows, have learned what we wanted this person to learn or not. For example,
Carlos
we're going to have...
What's the name of the standard? I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
SCORM, sorry, SCORM. Yes, it's a shareable content object model, reference model. So it is, I'm going to write it down. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And so this makes sure that whatever is compliant to this standard can be put, I mean, a lot of contents are compliant to this standard, and a lot of platforms are compliant to this standard. So whatever content that is compliant, that you put on a platform that is compliant, is going to be able to retrieve data regarding success, score, spent time on this module or on this content. And so on our solution at SpeederNet, we have this VR software that is SCORM compliant, so that we can provide this kind of information for these platforms, and these platforms can retrieve the success or failure of a content in VR, just like you would retrieve this information for a quiz. So it's the same. I don't know if I explain it super clear, but if anyone's interested, we can also have this conversation aside, to not keep monopolize the whole time with this, because we have a lot of interesting subjects.
Awesome. Yes,
just write down
Carlos.
on the chat for the SCORM and for the LMS. So if you need some information.
Okay. Digital content has to be SCORM compliant to track learners and get information assets, etc. Okay. Yes, Carlos, for listening.
Yeah, I forgot to lower the hand. But I wanted to ask now that I have the opportunity. Is this a European Union recognized standard?
No, it was first developed by the aviation, the U.S. Army or U.S. Aviation. Yes, so it's an old standard actually. The newest is SCORM 2004. We are 2022 now, so it's really not that fresh now. Yeah.
David, you wanted to ask a question.
More than a question, is a comment regarding the past subject that Jessica and Carlos were mentioning. Regarding the new use of technology, we develop software. We develop some professional training for companies and some education software for schools. And in the change of the behavior during the COVID these last 2 years, here in the office, we changed that we have to be able to work remotely and have flexibility in time. And I think that should be also the change in the education process that Carlos mentioned something that the content of the education should adapt to each student, which is a huge project and very, very difficult. But when you have flexibility, not only in what the kid is interested or the person is interested, but also on the time that he wants to, or she wants to focus on that. It's a very interesting subject. Here in the office, we see that it's not only the change of adopting new technology, but the new behavior of the new way of living in this era. And people is talking about coming back in the physicality and meeting that for kids and for any person is very, very important. But I think that it should be the opportunity to look forward, and if the traditional education models are not able, because they are huge companies and huge organizations, to make that shift, I think that the small companies or the entrepreneurs should have these new business models based on this duality that sometimes you're going to be physically present, sometimes virtual. You will have synchronous communication, either virtual or present, but you should have also asynchronous education, so anytime can learn at any time and anywhere. And there are some business models that are looking quite interesting in the US, that you have this, they took the advantage of a co-working space, but for education, so you can go and learn, and you have this shared economy that you can have just small hubs distributed all in the city, and you go there when you need it and when you want it, not when they tell you that from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. you have to be there because the teacher is going to be here. So when you make that shift in the way people could have these new experiences using technology, using in-person learning and all the tools, could be more interesting way to have new solutions, especially in VR and AR, because Severin and Carlos mentioned about the barriers we have here in Mexico because of the technology that is going down, as Severin mentioned. But also, Severin mentioned that when she bring new product, she have to have a trainer or someone that explains how to use the technology. And for me, every time I learn new technology, I just take it and use it, because there's no better way than to use it. But if you don't have access to the physical item, to the physical technology, it's very difficult. So in this new mindset of having this shared economy and shared resources that you just go there and take it, then you don't have to add, you don't have to own it. You don't have to own things. You can just share things, because a VR set, the people that have it don't use it entire day. So you can have just a bunch of them you need 2 or 3 for a classroom or 10. So we are working on some companies that have resources to have some specific software development to have like this interactive classroom. And we are working on shifting the business model. Like it is not for us to help you to create this new software or this new piece of technology, but to create a business model where the technology is just a tool. And I don't know, so far that mindset has helped us to have like more interesting conversations with our clients and how to shift, probably not in the next year or the next couple of years, but looking forward 5-10 years, because we don't know if there's going to be another COVID like sooner than expected.
Awesome. Super interesting feedback. Anyone want to answer to David? No. Okay. But in any case, I think it's really interesting what you've said, and even the adoption that you've mentioned, all the obstacles with the adoption barriers, adaptive content, and everything. I think we really got into the heart of the matter. And we're reaching the end of our session. So I don't know if anyone else wants to add something to what we've said. Okay, this is the part where everyone shuts up and they want me to finish. So we're going to do just that. Well, honestly, it was a really, really interesting conversation. I was super surprised and happy to see everyone participating. And I hope this was just as eye-opening and useful as it was for me. You're going to have everyone's email on the, I'm going to send you all the replay of the session today, and feel free to start a conversation with anyone that you've met today. If you have any questions, me and Aralia, we are more than happy to answer them or put you in contact with anyone if you can't find the contact. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I don't know if Aralia wants to say a few concluding words.
I just want to say it's really, we are really happy to be here, and we hope that you really approach this meeting, and we hope we see all again.
Lovely. Thank you all so much. And I hope I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great afternoon or a great day, depending on where you are.
Wait,
Thank you.
before
Thank you
we
very
finish,
much.
can we take a picture? Can we take a
Yeah,
picture?
true. Let's take a
yes,
picture.
sure.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. A picture
Thank you.
without those who were like dying to leave.
Yeah. Ara, can you help me
Yeah.
out, like screenshotting, please?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can do the together mode, or
No, yeah, the together mode, so we can see everyone, like everyone
Perfect.
from our
Yeah.
cluster.
Can you say
from
3, 2, 1?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Set
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
With me like this.
Let's go. We're going. 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
I'm doing like,
Yay.
Yay. I also
Yeah.
did
Thank
a
you
little
much,
something.
That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you all so
Yeah,
much. It was honestly lovely
Thank you so
seeing
much.
you all today.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
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 Hasta pronto. Chao, chao.
Bye. Cuídense mucho. Hasta luego.
Hasta
Hasta luego.
luego.